Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Podcast Radio and Stuff. Flying solo today. Ntokozo Japa, my partner in crime, is not around. Ngoba Ntokozo is not around, I thought, you know what? I've been watching a lot of podcasts of radio presenters talking about the culture in different radio stations. Maybe before I get there, let me start here. Growing up, we used to see radio as this beautiful industry because we would look at radio from listening to it, from receiving it as a listener. And you always hear radio presenters happy, it's joking, it's just a lot of fun that used to happen when we listened to radio when we were younger. And now, as I'm older, I have a podcast, talk to people about radio and how things are behind the scenes. And I watch podcasts as well where other radio presenters talk about their experiences in their workplaces, which are radio stations. And I'm like, wait a minute. Is radio not as glamorous as I thought it is? Is working on radio not as fun as I thought it was? That's my question. I'm saying this because I've watched many podcasts, and there is a narrative that keeps coming about toxicity that is behind the scenes on radio. I'm saying this because it's something that you wouldn't expect. Ngoba abasakazi uma ngabe besemoyeni ukube bejabulile, be happy, they are happy, it's fun, it's games, it's jokes. But to hear that behind the scenes, there's drama, there's toxicity, there's abuse that happens. It's disappointing, I think, for some of us who've always wanted to be on radio, and maybe for some people that maybe want to get into radio, because I think wonke umuntu ongakaze asebenze emsakazweni ucabanga ukuthi ukusebenza emsakazweni is glamorous. Why am I saying this? I watched a lot of podcasts recently, and uzwa ababesebenza emsakazweni talking about their experiences, and hearing those experiences is shocking. I'll be playing some clips and then discussing those clips, and I would love to hear your views on those clips from some of my favorite podcasts with some of my favorite radio presenters. I'm Ntobeko Khuluse. This is Podcast Radio and Stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. Please remember to subscribe, share, like, join as a member. If you join as a member, you contribute only 9 rands 99 cents in making this podcast great. But when you subscribe, it's absolutely free. You don't pay a cent to subscribe on this channel. So please go ahead and subscribe on this channel. Now, let's get on with it. Let's play our first video. So the first video is taken from one of my favorite podcasts. Absolutely love it. Engineer Your Life with Lungelo KM. He was talking to Penny Lebyane, and Penny Lebyane had this to say about the industry and the industry not liking women that much. Take a look.
What I want.
What is not getting what you want?
I want to drive.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to drive.
Yeah.
Either breakfast or afternoon drive. I didn't understand why I couldn't get any of those things.
Yeah.
So,
and what were they saying?
It was just sexist nonsense. I don't want to discuss it. It's still the same.
You believe it's still the same?
Yeah. I know. I don't believe. I just ended a contract with SABC last year in 2024. It's still the same. It's women are not treated as equally as men. Men are supported better. They paid better. They're given support system, producers, everything that you require. And men, I believe that they're gonna do well in certain slots. Women are trialed out in slots. And men are earmarked and they can be parachuted into positions.
I hear you.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
They can get you with your engineering experience, with no radio experience, and give you breakfast and say, we think Lungelo will do well. And then they give you 5 producers. And as a woman, there's one, and then you're not sure, and then they're trying out this. It's like it's always trial and error. So, I mean, that's black radio for you so far.
somebody.
And they will pay you half of what they pay the guy. If the guy was paid 300,000, they're like, we'll give you 150.
Yeah.
And then the guy might be paid 300,000, and then he's can negotiate for advertising revenue and whatever. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of stuff. So, and it's obviously it's also been the same guys doing the same slots for the last 20 years. They've all been on Drive here, on Drive there, and so they've never done anything else. But as a woman, you must convince them that you can do the show. So I did. I won.
So, what did you think of that? Penny Lebyane is talking about the difficulty of being a woman in the industry. And she's talking about the reasons she left Metro FM. And she wanted a drive, be it morning or afternoon drive. And they didn't want to give her that show. And she felt like she deserves it because of the type of radio that she did back then. But she says, hey, it's a man's world. And if you look around, it's the same men who've been doing breakfast over and over again. And there are men that have been doing breakfast, or either breakfast or night or afternoon drive on different radio stations. They've never done any other show. And she's not lying, people. She's not lying, people. There are people that for years now, they've been doing either morning or afternoon drive. You can think of the likes of DJ Fresh, DJ Spoo, Glenn Lewis, Fat Joe when he was on radio. The list goes on and on. So there are those people that you know who could see if this person is with the radio station, they'll be doing either the morning or the afternoon drive. And when she talks about the industry not giving a chance to women, and I wish that was not true, but it's true. Look around. Look around. How many women are doing breakfast shows as main hosts, not as sidekicks, as main hosts? It's Annalem Doda and who else? How many women are doing afternoon drives as main hosts? There are very few. It's Tande Tabete and who else? You know, there are very few. You can count them, especially on mainstream radio. Kaya FM the other year, gave Dineo Ranaka the breakfast show. Didn't last that long. So the question is, when will the industry be kind to women? When will we finally see some women hosting main prime shows like your 6 to 9 in the morning and 3 to 6 in the afternoon? In my view, Penny Lebyane on this one, she's telling the truth. I detect no lies. I don't know what you think about that. Please go into the comment section and share your thoughts and views on what you think about what Penny Lebyane has said. Let me thank Engineer Your Life with Lungelo KM. So you can check out that full episode on Engineer Your Life with Lungelo KM on YouTube. So yeah, thank you very much, Lungelo KM. Now, while we are talking about women in the industry, another woman in the industry opened up about how she was treated while she was at Kaya FM. This is Dineo Ranaka, who was on a Relebohile Mabocha podcast. The next video will play. It's from Relebohile Mabocha podcast, and you will hear where Dineo talks about her tough times while she was in Kaya FM from both her colleagues and management. Let's hear it. Let's check it out.
When it was announced that you were going to be hosting the Kaya Breakfast show,
yeah,
I remember being so excited for you.
So was I.
I was like, it is her time. You've earned the place. And because we know of what the history has been around breakfast shows and who's leading and all of those things, what was the first thing that made you feel like, that, as Oprah would say, what was?
I love that question so much. Nobody's ever thought to ask me that question. I think, well done. There was a narcissistic energy from some of my colleagues And I call it a narcissistic energy because if you had empathy in you, you would know not to do that. And that narcissistic aura is also, it comes with a level of arrogance. And it comes with a need to not so much ridicule, but reduce you to a size they see you at. And here's what it was. It's so small, but it's so big. When your colleagues, certain colleagues,
Yes.
that think to trivialize your experience in broadcasting and coach you pre and post show. Why? There's a culture there that has been left to brew and ferment too long, that people walk around the walls in that building with a sense of, you need my teachings. I actually don't. I actually don't. Not from you. The industry, as radio itself, has taught me a lot. I come with skills, and I don't need to prove myself to you. You are not my check signer. Through my lens, I'm your equal, you are my equal. Actual fact, I'm your senior, given the flagship
Yes.
of the show.
Yes.
So calm down. I did not sign a contract to be trained on radio. I signed a contract because of what I bring into radio. Don't steal that from me. And when that started happening, regularly, and it happened to me alone, not to the
other
both of
people.
us.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't a, guys, as a team, let's just have a quick little huddle here. Here's how we can improve. It was a Dineo thing. It was a she thing, a you thing. Again, why do you feel the need to correct what God has instilled in me?
So it wasn't
You have a
coming
God
from
syndrome.
management, it was just a colleague.
That's when I started feeling, nee man, ndiyaqhelwa apha. Hayi ndiyaqhelwa shem. And then you get things like, you speak to your management and you're like, I'm not feeling okay. I can't put my finger on it. There's something wrong with me. I'm not feeling okay. I can still go another day, but I'm not feeling okay. No support, no care, no nothing. The system itself, it lacks so, it's so empathy deprived. I can't begin to describe it. But anyone who's worked in a corporate industry and has felt that there's no heart here would understand. And that's when I knew. I was like, no man, but this culture is just, this environment perpetuates this ego, this narcissistic energy that feels the need to control, correct. Control, correct. I don't need correcting. Who hired you to correct me? Which part of the HR department do you serve?
Look, people, I don't know what to make of that. I really don't know what to make of that. There's a lot that was said on this video, and there's more. If you go watch the full episode on Relebohele Mabocha podcast, you will hear a whole lot more in terms of the culture that we never expect to see or hear about from radio industry. I mean, toxic culture happens, and many companies have culture that is not conducive for some staff members to work, especially if you've been exposed in corporate. I've been in corporate for a very long time. So I've worked in different companies, and I do know that cultures for different companies are different. It's just that there are things that you don't expect from radio, mainly because of how it's portrayed on air, which means radio presenters are doing a brilliant job in pretending that they are happy while they are actually not happy. Now, back to Dineo Ranaka. There's a lot that came out there. A lot. So Dineo was hosting the breakfast show on Kaya FM with Sol Penduka. As you can hear on this clip that we just played, that she says there was this colleague of hers, whom she doesn't name by name, who used to just coach her. Who would give her coaching that is not asked for. She didn't ask for that coaching, but there's this colleague who just felt she needed to be coached. And Dineo Ranaka is saying, who are you to coach me? And she says this happens because of the culture within the station. In all honesty, I don't necessarily agree with Dineo to say because she's walking on water, she can't be coached. Dineo is a brilliant radio presenter. She is walking on water when it comes to radio. But even if you are walking on water, you can still take feedback. But I think the problem is, if I understand Dineo correctly, it's not that she was being given feedback, but it was the manner in which that feedback was done. Just imagine you just did your show and a colleague of yours just says, hey man, that was not good. Don't do that again. Without telling you what you did right, this is where you need to improve. Just the manner of approach. I think colleagues can give each other feedback, especially if you have that relationship with another colleague. But the manner of approach, it sounds like the way that she was told, it was demeaning. It was not motivational. It was like, we are better, without showing that there are some things that she's also doing right. But also that person sounds like they just had no business in telling Dineo what to do. Now I wonder who that was. And some people thought maybe it's Sol Penduka. Definitely it's not Sol Penduka, because if you listen, Dineo says, this colleague was coaching only me, not my other colleague. So the other colleague is Sol Penduka that she's talking about. If she was talking about Sol Penduka, she wouldn't have said that. So I don't think it's Sol Penduka. I really don't know who it is. Do you have any suspicions? And Dineo on that video went on to talk about management. That it's the culture that is there within the business. It's been allowed by management. In fact, she goes on some parts of the videos that I haven't played. She talks about the fact that she applied for leave, it was approved, and when she got sick and she went overseas when she was on leave. But management used that to say, you see, this person is not sick because she's overseas. Whereas she's not at work because she's saying she's sick. But Dineo's like, no, my leave was pre-approved already. I went on holiday while I was sick because I needed to recover. And she's saying that's the toxicity that exists within Kaya FM. And you will recall that she's not the first person who said this. We've had Unathi Nkayi also crying foul. I don't know what you make of that video where Dineo talks about this culture that is not conducive within Kaya FM. And when these things happen, they do two things. They destroy people's careers, and also they destroy the quality of radio that we get as radio listeners. So when you listen to these radio stations, hearing these things that people are saying, are you picking up anything that says, now I understand why radio presenters are not flourishing on this radio station? It's because of the toxicity that happens behind the scenes. Please feel free to go into the comment section and share your thoughts and views about the video that you just watched now. For me, it's just scary. It's just scary, honestly. I feel sorry for those who are still aspiring to get into radio, if this is how it is. Especially if it can happen to someone like Dineo Ranaka, who's a seasoned radio broadcaster. Just imagine then you are someone new entering the industry. What will happen to you? Really, really scary. Now, let's check out another video. This is Unathi Nkayi. She was on podcast I almost said podcast radio and stuff. She was on Podcast and Chill with Mac G. She was talking about her court case with against Kaya FM, and she's outlining the reasons she's suing Kaya FM. Check it out.
Lovely.
Yes.
So you want to know?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first is wrongful termination.
Okay.
Ne? You can't fire an employee or terminate a contract of a freelancer because there was a verbal dispute and someone got the facts wrong. I got the facts wrong, right?
okay.
I said Caesar swore at me,
Yes.
which was a wrong fact.
Okay.
Immediately after, they made me apologize to Caesar, which I did in writing.
Wait, and before the
shout out to you.
apology,
I apologized twice.
before the apology, was there a procedure they were meant to follow which they didn't?
Yeah.
Oh.
They didn't follow any procedures. There were no meetings. There were no...
HR, disciplinary, what?
Nothing.
Okay.
So when I made that mistake, they asked me to apologize to Caesar, which I did. Then they said, apologize again, but don't...
These were food.
Yeah.
Well, you said these were food. Then you apologized again.
We are tired. Because Anele Nguwe. Oh my gosh, what are we talking about? Tick. So then they said, apologize again. This time, don't include management. Because I included management in the apology. Because I wanted them to know I was serious. They said,
And this is an email or a letter?
everything's in writing.
Gotcha.
Then they said, you must email Caesar and then CC us. Don't include us. So I did that immediately. And then they fired me. And then they said it's because my relationship with Kaya is what? Unrepairable or something. But now, remember, the MD is Spongile, who's emotional from Metro days.
Oh, Spongile, yes.
She's emotional because I walked out on her at Metro.
So she's got a personal thing with
It's
you.
a history. There's a
It's
history
a
there.
history. So she's emotional. She's using Sizwe to fire me. He got emotional and allowed himself to be used in that manner.
Yeah.
What she doesn't know and what Sizwe didn't know at the time is that I was talking to the chairman while all of this was happening. So I've got all of that in writing as well. So my relationship can't be irreparable with Kaya if I'm getting advice from the chairman. So because I kept quiet, they didn't know all of this and they went on the rampage that they did. So when I decided to sue, my case was meant to be heard in arbitration.
Yeah.
But now because they'd already fired Spongile and the new MD, Colleen, came in. You might know Colleen.
No,
she worked at Prime Media with you guys.
Yeah, she
If I
was
see
the
her
white
face.
lady, the
I know the... Was
Terry.
Terry
They
Folkface.
partners,
So her
yeah.
business partner, Colleen,
Oh, okay.
now moved to Kaya. Now, because she has a history with Sizwe, she also got emotional. And instead of allowing my matter to be heard in arbitration, which was wrongful termination, that's all I would have been allowed to sue Kaya for. She was like, we're taking the matter to the High Court because the assumption is I've been fired, I don't have money.
Wait, so when you say she's got history with Sizwe,
Because they work together at Prime Media.
they-
So her loyalties are towards Sizwe more than Kaya.
Yes.
She should be acting in the best interest of
Of
Kaya,
Kaya,
right?
yes,
But
yes.
no,
got you.
let's protect Sizwe.
Yeah.
Because if she was acting in the best interest of Kaya, she would have said, yes, the matter can go to arbitration. That would have meant that it's a private matter and it would have ended in weeks. And the only thing I'd be allowed to sue for is wrongful termination.
Got you.
But now, because Colleen got emotional and said, we're taking this to High Court, thinking that I won't afford it. And because Sizwe went on his 10-day rant, 2 days dedicated to a Q&A in my name, he exposed so much that we didn't know. Oh, so Kaya is the radio station that illegally records their staff?
Ooh,
That's the case.
that's not allowed.
What do you mean?
But we've known that. That happens
Who's
in
known
all...
that?
With these desks.
Yeah,
modern
these desks.
They always just record.
Yes, but are they allowed to record? And
I didn't know
are
that.
they in your contract?
No.
There we go. So now I'm allowed to sue because you're illegally recording your staff. Crimin and Jura comes
Oh, that's
in
like us now with the mics here and we're just recording everyone.
when we're off air. Yeah.
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 Oh, shit.
You've got to say to people, I'm recording. It's like Zoom meetings. So that's the first lawsuit. Then crimen injure, because Kaya then takes those tapes that are private. Crimen injure is the intentional impairing of someone's dignity and privacy.
Okay.
Kaya gives those tapes to a staff member who posts them as a legal publication. Because once you post anything on the internet, it's a legal publication. So that's crimen injure, right? Then, because of that, and everything that was said back and forth on Twitter by him and the Q&A and answering people like you picked it up.
Yes.
And come up with your
Own
opinions from a one-sided story.
Yes,
I'm not
yes.
saying anything. Kai's not saying anything. But
Yes.
because of this and the tapes they released, allowed a staff member to release, I'm getting slander,
Yeah.
defamation of character, emotional damage, psychological damage, reputational damage,
Yes.
loss of income. So those are all the things I'm suing Kaya for.
Fucking hell.
Woo! There's a lot in that recording with Unathi from Podcast and Chill with Mac G. Thank you to Podcast and Chill and Mac G. So you can check out the full episode. It's on Podcast and Chill with Mac G. So, I mean, that episode is sitting at 1.4 million. So I'm sure you've watched it already. But if you haven't, you can check it out there on Podcast and Chill with Mac G. So, guys, there's a lot. So we know Uguti Unathi used to do 12 to 3 on Kaya FM. And she left when she had an issue with, there was this big issue with Sizwe Dlomo. So there was an altercation with Sizwe Dlomo, and Unathi accused Sizwe Dlomo of swearing at her. And Sizwe Dlomo declined, denied that, saying she never did that. So it went on and on, it was back and forth. Eventually, Unathi was dismissed. And Sizwe Dlomo remained with Kaya FM, and now we know that he's doing the breakfast show. So there is this view on the streets. In the streets, people are saying Sizwe Dlomo is untouchable at Kaya FM. They're like, you cannot touch Sizwe Dlomo. He is Kaya FM himself. So I don't know about that. What I do know, though, is that there is a court case. I'm not sure how that is going between Kaya FM and Unathi. And with that court case, and from what Unathi rather said, you can again see and link it with what Dineo Ranaka said to say, okay, there is a culture here. There is a problem with the culture that is not conducive, that maybe management and the big bosses need to look at and think, what is it that we can do to change the culture? Because fact is, culture is created by those who are in power. You create the culture. Your employees follow what authority does. So if authority is toxic, there will be toxicity in the business. But if authority has heart, understands, has empathy, and treats employees with fairness, chances are employees will treat each other with fairness and kindness. So with all of this toxic culture that is coming up, I think big bosses probably needs to do some self-introspection. That yes, it's about money. We want to generate revenue because you can see, most of or rather all the stations that I've covered thus far are commercial radio stations. Intention of those stations is to make money. But to make more money, you need to treat your people well. And from these videos, it doesn't look like staff, radio presenters, on-air presenters are treated that well. Unathi is suing the station for a number of reasons. She's saying it's wrongful termination. She's also speaking about being recorded without your knowledge. And she's absolutely right. You need to disclose to a person if you are recording them. You need to disclose. That's what I know. I'm not a law fundi, but from the knowledge that I have, if you're going to be recording someone, be it on a telephone, you need to advise them that these calls are recorded. That's why if you call a call center, they will say to you, calls are recorded for training and quality purposes. if on Zoom or Teams, if you are in a meeting and you click record, it notifies all the attendees that this meeting is recorded. So in my view, if the desk records continuously, even when people are having off-air conversations, then there needs to be an agreement that, in my view, that employees need to sign. Consent, maybe not an agreement, but consent. So I think employees need to give consent to say, I agree to be recorded all the time when I'm in studio, even in my private conversations with my colleagues. Without that consent, I think Unathi has a case. And if that's what all radio stations are doing, I think that's problematic. Hey, abasebenzi abasakwazi nokuhleba ngabaphathi. Phela abasebenzi bavumelekile ukuhleba ngabaphathi. Abasebenzi bavumelekile ukuba frustrated ngabaphathi. Now, kunalento nje recordayo continuously, basifuna ukuhleba kumele siphumele ngaphandle ukuze sikwazi ukuhleba ngabaphathi. I think that is problematic. And again, it speaks to culture. It speaks to culture. There is a problem with the culture if that what is allowed to happen within the radio station. So, yeah, man, these are just some of the examples that I decided to pick on where we are talking about culture within radio industry. Is really the industry that toxic? Or these are just isolated examples of toxicity, but it doesn't speak to the culture itself. Maybe there are many other people who are in the industry who are happy. Ukuthi thina sesibone laba bambalwa abacomplainayo, then sesithi i-culture i-industry yonkana. What is the problem? Is the problem with the stations, management, or the entire organization? It's just the culture that is the problem. I honestly don't know, but I would love to know your thoughts. Please go into the comment section and share your thoughts and views on this episode. What do you think is happening? Why are we hearing so many people complain about the culture in the radio stations that they worked for or that they work for? What is going on there? Please go into the comment section, share your thoughts and views. But then again, these are few examples. Let's remember, there are many other people who are within these radio stations who have not complained. So maybe we are using examples of few people, but maybe many other people are happy. They have no issues. So is it fair to use a small sample and then judge the entire industry or the entire radio station that it's toxic? I'll let you be the judge. Please feel free to go into the comment section, share your thoughts and views. I'm Ntobeko Khuluse. This is Podcast Radio and Stuff. Thank you so much for watching this video up until this point. And thanks to all the podcasts that we took videos from. I'll mention there is Engineer Your Life with Lungelo KM. Podcast, that is Relebokhele Mabucha podcast, as well as Podcast and Chill with Meg G. We also saw a video from Podcast Radio and Stuff. Thank you to us. Bye-bye.